Hi, everybody. I'm Desiree. I'm excited to join you today. Thank you so much to Cole Publishing and Plumber Magazine for asking me to present. Times are really weird right now, so I'm hoping that what I share today will give you good strategies as life starts to shift out of lockdown and we get into this new economy and this new world that we aren't very familiar with. Today I'm going to be sharing my best advice on how to build a strong local reputation and customer loyalty. Now, reputation and loyalty, they really go hand in hand. And if you don't have a solid reputation in your community, you probably don't have very loyal customers. I'm going to share a ton of advice today on how to bolster your reputation and grow your list of repeat customers. And I think the best way to do this is by improving your customer experience. Now, we're going to cover a lot of ground today, a lot of different topics. If you're a note taker, this is definitely the presentation for you. So get your pens ready. We're going to go over a wide range from employee training ideas to how to handle negative reviews, expectations, all kinds of different stuff. So it's going to be a lot, but be sure to stick around because at the end of this presentation, I'll be sharing a special free resource that's custom tailored for your business, just for you. So let me tell you a little bit about who I am and why I have any kind of authority to talk about your industry and your customers. Again, my name is Desiree. I run my own company called Capital Copywriter, and I grew up surrounded by blue-collar workers. My grandpa, my uncle are machinists. My dad's a plumber. My husband's a fabricator. I've even gotten my hands dirty a few times working on cars and projects around the house where I had to learn with power tools and miter saws and things like that. So I've been a little more rough and tumble than I'd like to admit. But like I said, I grew up surrounded by these blue-collar type people, and I definitely got my fair share of teasing. My family lovingly gave me the nickname Plumberina. They were convinced I was going to grow up and just follow in my dad's footsteps to become a plumber. I wasn't so convinced, but despite my best efforts, I did wind up working in the trades. But my role is in marketing. I'm what's known as a copywriter. Basically, any words that you read that promote a product or a service, those words are written by a copywriter. So that could be things like website content, blog posts, online ads, direct mailers, postcards, sales ads, taglines, slogans, product descriptions, even user manuals are written by copywriters. And I specifically write this content for the skilled trades, plumbing, HVAC, construction, etc. But I don't just write customer-facing content. I also write internal communications. So things like employee manuals, handbooks, training materials, emails, meeting outlines, presentations. So whether it's sales copy or internal copy, it all works together to help further the customer experience. If you want to understand more about what I do or how I could help your business with copywriting, my website is right at the top of your screen, capitalcopywriter.com. So you can head over there and check me out and see what I'm all about and if I could help you out. So let's go ahead and jump in. Let's talk about how to improve your customer experience and reinforce your reputation in the community to help you grow a loyal customer base. So in order to start making improvements in your customer experience, you really have to understand who your customer is and the journey that they take with you. So who might vary a little bit depending on your unique business. Maybe you work primarily with homeowners, or maybe you work with business owners and franchisees, or you might work directly with contractors. But knowing who your audience is won't change the journey. It should just cause you to shift your approach. The journey is essentially the same, whether you're dealing with residential, commercial, or new construction customers. So For a skilled trades business, this journey usually, I think, has 5 stops along the way: awareness, pre-appointment, appointment, post-appointment, and the advocacy stage. So the important thing to understand is that the first 4 stops in that journey actually lead to the 5th one. And without an out of the park, over the top, unforgettable customer experience from start to finish, you risk your reputation and therefore your customer loyalty. And as you know, there's just way too much competition in our industry and in your area to give that subpar, mediocre experience. It's important to note that 50% of consumers have actually left brands for a competitor that was better able to meet their needs or offered them something better. So it's not just new customers that go on this journey and that you need to impress, it's actually your old customers too. And sometimes it's easy to let the customer experience slip a little or get lax with your past returning customers or contractors that you always work with, because they just always call you, so you kind of count on them to be there. But in a sense, these people should get a better care, or at least an experience that's consistent with what your new customers get. So we're going to go through each of these phases and really cover what you need to do to enhance the customer experience during each stage. So the first stage, like I mentioned, is the awareness stage. Now, this is the first impression your customer gets of you. It could be your truck driving down the road. It could be a Google ad that popped up while they're shopping online, or maybe a friend of theirs shared one of your Facebook posts. But good awareness by the customer only really starts with your presence. So how easy is it for customers to discover your business? When they find you, do they like what they see? Do you have a good social media presence? Do you have click-worthy online ads? Do you have a really impressive website? If not, you should. These are all worth the investment. Social media is totally free to use, and your website's one of your biggest sales tools. So be using them, but make sure everything you share online is really contributing to your customer experience in a super positive way. So, for example, like ugly or outdated social media content is not enticing, and an uninformative or like a hard to use where you're clicking around all over the place to figure out what you need, if your website's like that, that's not helpful to a customer. So a lot of times things like this can actually do more harm than good. Stanford did this study, and it was on credibility. And 46% of people actually decide whether you're credible based solely on the visual appeal of your website. So it's not about how many certifications your team has or whether your techs get a lot of training or whatever. People don't care. What they care is when they find you online and they go to your website, does it look nice, and are they able to get the information that they came there to get? And most consumers actually won't spend much more than about 15 or 20 seconds on your website, so that first impression is crucial. You have to make sure that your layout is really nice and clean, the design is eye-catching, that it's really easy to navigate, that the user experience is really easy, and it shows your branding, and that you're answering these 4 important questions. Who are you? What do you do? How will you solve my problem? And how do I contact you? Those are the key things your website should focus on. Also, not just your website, but your website on the cell phone version. You can't forget about the mobile experience. So pop on your phone after this presentation, take a minute and see if your site is easy to use. Is it easy to click on the Contact Us button? Is it easy to navigate to different menu pages? People do tons of research on their phones, so if your site isn't optimized for cell phone use, you're definitely losing customers. Really make sure your site's user-friendly so it's easy for them to discover your business during that awareness stage. So the next phase for the customer is the pre-appointment stage of the journey. And you can boost the customer experience here, and this whole customer experience really launches right when the customer officially contacts you. Now, for different businesses, this could look a little differently, or maybe your customer contacts you through a bot on your website, or maybe you have a form that customers can fill out that drops into your inbox, or maybe they even send you a direct message on Yelp or Angie's List or something like that. But the goal is to actually get them on the phone with you. This is when you have the best opportunity to really get them booked and build trust with them. Even if they're just calling to ask questions for the price, this is your chance to really build that trust with your company and seal the deal. So when I build training materials and phone scripts for companies that are looking to really improve that phone experience and make it really just wow, I always recommend that call takers make sure to hit 7 really important points during the course of the phone call. These 7 actions really put the customer at ease, and it helps you convert calls and turn them into bookings and repeat customers. So these 7 things may sound like a lot, but they can be really done in a very natural, conversational way. It's just a matter of getting into the natural consistency, the rhythm of it, and just getting into the habit of saying each of these things. So step 1, call takers always need to be sure to thank the customer. Greet them politely and thank them. They had a lot of options and they chose you. So make sure to show your appreciation. Number 2, listen. Call takers are often distracted. They're dealing with filing and sending an email, and maybe they're dispatching at the same time. But when a customer calls, they shouldn't feel like a nuisance or an interruption to the activities going on in the office. They should be getting the full attention of your customer service rep. So make sure your call takers are really paying attention to the call and listening carefully to the customer. Customers want to be heard, and they also want to be understood. So the third thing is react with empathy. Is the situation stressful? Is the customer calling in a panic because a pipe burst and it's ruining their new wood floor? So the call taker's response should be something like, oh my gosh, no, I'm so sorry you're dealing with that. That sounds like a terrible way to start the day. Let's make sure we get you on board with a good plumber so he can prevent any water damage from ruining your nice, beautiful wood floor, right? It only takes a second or two to help connect with the customer and give them that reaction with empathy. And not all plumbing issues are bad, right? Sometimes you might have a customer who mentions that they've been saving for years to upgrade their kitchen. So the call taker's response should be, oh my gosh, that's great, congrats. Kitchen remodels are so exciting, and we'd love to help keep your project on track. Forbes did a study, and they found that 86% of customers say that an emotional connection with a CSR is what made them continue to do business with the company. So your call taker should be showing personality, showing that there is a human on the other end of that phone call. Number 4, your call takers need to dig in. Questions are super important for the customer so that they feel heard and understood and like you care about their situation that they're in, but also so that your team is gathering good information for your plumber. So for example, if it's a water heater call, your call takers should know to ask, what's the energy source? Is this gas or electric? Do you know how many gallons your water heater is? Is it easy to access? Have you ever repaired it before? How old is the water heater? So I recommend creating training for your call takers. Make a list of questions that should be the go-to questions they ask in different scenarios. So whatever your most common customer calls are regarding, make sure they have the resources they need to be able to ask appropriate questions on those calls and gather that information for your plumbers. Number 5, reassure the customer that you're the right person for the job. It doesn't take much to just put that customer at ease. I always just use the simple one-liner. I just say, oh yeah, no problem. We handle that all the time. It's just such a simple statement. It can apply to anything, but it just lets the customer know that you're comfortable with their situation. You're confident that you can find them a solution. Number 6, educate your customer. Tell them what to expect. Nobody wants to be left in the dark. It's really important to realize that some people have never hired a plumber before. They've never hired somebody in your industry, and they have no idea what an appointment with you should look like. Plus, every business is different. You might run differently. You might run things differently than the last person that they hired in your field. So just take a sentence or two to just explain what that appointment will look like or how you guys work. Finally, just like you started your call with a thank you, always be sure to end the call with a thank you. Even if they didn't book with you, you should always end the call on a good note, leave a good taste in the customer's mouth. Just say, thank you so much. We appreciate you taking time to consider us, or whatever it takes, just to leave on a good note. They might not be hiring you this time, but it doesn't mean they won't call you back in the future or refer a friend or family member. So always thank them at the end. So those 7 things for call takers really are a game changer in creating an awesome phone experience for the customer during this early stage in their journey. But the pre-appointment phase still has a few more actions that need to be taken, and these often get overlooked. So after that call gets hung up, the next action is the details. No details should be overlooked. Whatever the customer told your call taker on the phone needs to get notated accurately and passed off to your plumber. So whether you use really high-tech software or whether you write those notes on a piece of paper and pass along and it's old school, doesn't matter. All the info should be there so that the plumber's job is much easier when he arrives on site. Also, no typos. Your call takers need to double check, triple check everything, every detail. If they need to clarify while they're on the phone, ask the customer to repeat the phone number again. Ask them to repeat the address. There is nothing worse than having your plumber, your technician drive around town all day looking for some address because one digit was wrong, right? So why have them waste valuable time or money when they could just be double checking their work? So make sure you're really enforcing that with your employees. Communication is key, and taking those little preventative measures are really going to save you a lot of time on the day. Finally, just the reminder call. A lot of companies don't do this. They kind of put it off. Obviously, if you have a customer that calls and books for the very next day, you don't need to do a reminder call with them. They just booked. But some of your people may have booked 3 days ago or a week ago or 2-3 weeks ago. So they could have completely forgot that you were expected to come to their house or their business. They might have totally slipped their mind. So I recommend setting aside 1 hour the day before, usually in the late afternoon around 3 o'clock or so, for your call takers to call every customer for the next day and just say, hey, we're looking forward to solving your problem tomorrow. We'll be on site at 2 o'clock. You'll be seeing Joe or whoever. So just a quick little phone call. Most of the time you'll get a voicemail anyway, but this protects you from those customers who did forget and need to cancel or need to reschedule. It just gives you an opportunity to then find a new customer and fill that hole and keep your schedule full and nice and booked. I might even recommend that you keep an urgency list for customers who need urgent service. When you didn't have a spot on the schedule, you might be able to squeeze them in if one of these customers cancels. So, customer experience so far has been the awareness stage and the pre-appointment stage, right? Now we're at the appointment stage. We talked about those first impressions, but when the plumber arrives on site, this is really just another crucial first impression. So that first impression doesn't just happen when the technician knocks on the door. It actually happens right when he rolls up and parks in front of the building on the property, right? Or right in front of the property. So when your plumber first pulls up, they should be ready to rock and roll. Customers are often anticipating their arrival. Some of them are even peeking out the blinds, just waiting for them to get there. So they see your tech right when they pull up. So that means clean trucks, no finishing a sandwich before they walk up to the house, no flicking a cigarette into the yard. They should be ready to get out of the car and go greet the customer by name. So even if that means parking a block away right before they arrive at the house and just skimming through any notes about what the appointment's about, what they're showing up for, what the customer's name is, that should all be dealt with before they park, before they walk up to the front door. Of course, when the tech arrives and knocks at the door, they should present themselves in a well-dressed, clean, friendly demeanor, obviously give a friendly greeting, and always take extra precautions to respect the property. So not just during coronavirus, but all the time, be putting on shoe booties, have gloves at the ready, just be respectful of the home or the business that you're about to walk into. Your techs are a stranger in the house, so they should really be considerate of the people that they're meeting and the property that they're spending time on today. Now, just like your call takers, your techs should follow the same kind of format as that 7-step one we talked about before. So during the inspection and during the greeting, your technician should, of course, thank the customer first for choosing you guys. They should listen carefully. Sometimes customers are more willing to give better details or more information on site than they did on the phone, so they should always be listening carefully, reacting with empathy, digging in, asking any more questions to clarify the situation and make their job easier, reassuring the customer, hey, no problem, I've been in the plumbing industry for 25 years, we're gonna get this problem solved right away. Reassure them, let them know that they made the right decision by calling your company. And finally, educate the customer. The whole experience should be an education for the customer. Take the customer with you, walk them over that water heater, show them where the pipes are corroded, help them see and get a picture of what problem is at hand and how you're going to overcome those challenges of the situation. So don't let your techs rush. Really let them spend time finding the correct issue, pinpointing and troubleshooting everything super accurately, so that the solution isn't just a Band-Aid, but is a true cure for the problem. And I also recommend having your technicians always look for other related problems that might need to be addressed. So they should offer to inspect other aspects of the plumbing. Upselling isn't bad if you're saving the customer from future headaches. So have your tech accurately pinpoint the issue and check for the immediate issues at hand or any relevant problems that might need to be addressed. And then with that, that's going to help your plumber be able to provide more than one solution to the problem. 2 to 3 solutions is really ideal. 90% of plumbing problems can be handled in more than one way, so why not let the customer be in control of the project and in control of their budget? So I always recommend 3 options. Give one, the kind of more economical, most affordable option. This is generally going to be some sort of quick repair. It's not meant to be lasting them for years to come. It's going to be something that will probably have to be upgraded down the road, but it'll at least get them by for now. It's going to be the cheaper solution. Then you want to do kind of a more still economical option, but something with more longevity. So you're probably going to be replacing some components, and freshening up their plumbing system a little bit. And then the third option generally should be like a bells and whistles option, right? Over the top, a little bit of an upgrade for the customer. So then they have 3 packages to choose from: the cheap one, the mid-level one, and the over-the-top upgrade option. So going around and inspecting all their plumbing is really going to make building those packages and those options for the customer much easier. But of course, I have to mention, make sure that your techs are super transparent about these options. They really need to explain both the pros and the cons to the customer and show which has the best value over time, because you never want to get into a situation where the customer thinks they're paying for some cheap option, but that it's going to solve their problem forever, and they're never going to need to upgrade that. Finally, during that appointment phase, as your technicians work and before the appointment ends, make sure they know how to over-deliver, right? This is like my pro tip, always over-deliver. This is what will set you apart from the competition and really leave a lasting impression in the customer experience. So I like to joke a little bit that my husband, so I said he was a fabricator, and he's often, working on projects. He works on automotive stuff too. And so when he screws in screws, He is so detail oriented that he screws all the screws, if they're like a Phillips head type of screw, all the way so they're all vertical. Every screw lays the same direction, right? It's a little nitpicky, but little details like that matter. So what kind of things can your techs do to really make their work not just look like work, but look like craftsmanship, right? Over the top, over delivering. All work should be performed to the highest level of craftsmanship and be really detail oriented. When they leave the house, everything should look and work better than when they arrived. So go above and beyond. Always also recommend making sure that your trucks are at least fully stocked with the basic cleaning supplies so that at the end of the appointment, your techs can use them on site to just clean everything up, clean up their workspace, and leave the customer with something sparkly clean to impress them. I had an experience not that long ago where I had a plumbing company come in to replace my water heater, and they had been in business for years. They were all licensed journeymen, so I thought, okay, this is going to be a great experience. It should just be super wow, you know? And I was shocked. They had to solder, and they dripped melted copper pipe all down the wall. They burnt a little patch of my wallpaper with their torch. They didn't bother to sweep and mop the floor after they removed the water heater. So when they reinstalled the new one, there was all this gunk left behind on the floor that I can't access anymore. I can't even get to it to clean up. So it just, you know, the water heater works fine, I guess, like it works, but there was just all these little details that got totally overlooked and left me wanting more and feeling like I didn't get what I paid for. So just always make sure your team understands what they can do and how and why they should over deliver, and make sure they're equipped to do that. All right, so you've impressed in the awareness stage with a beautiful website, good social media content, good online presence. You've impressed during the customer experience in the pre-appointment stage and in the appointment stage, and now it's after the appointment. All those steps, you did a great job. So how do we really impress during the customer experience in the post-appointment stage? So customers always seem to have buyer's remorse, right? Especially when it comes to plumbing. It's so frustrating. After the stress of the problem is solved and life's back to normal, it's super easy for them to forget how helpful and how important that service was at the time. It's like, because all the pipes are hidden behind the walls, it's kind of out of sight, out of mind. So they just forget, and that's when they start disputing charges. But follow-up is going the extra mile. And this is what's going to reinforce the customer's confidence in their purchase. So make sure your office is calling within 3 business days after the appointment to thank the customer and make sure they're satisfied. A simple, genuine thank you call really goes a long way, and it gives you the opportunity to address any issues just in case something went wrong. So you can address those and deal with them before your online reputation gets smeared by an angry customer, right? So if your thank you call does happen to uncover an unhappy customer, it gives you the chance to offer a solution. So it's better to overcome issues as early as possible. And you might even be able to turn frustrated people into repeat customers like we're working towards, right? So that's really important. Just make sure your office is making it a priority to call and thank the customer and make sure they're satisfied with your work. Last thing in this journey, expect all customers to be long-term customers. Make sure that your plumbers and call takers know to listen and take note of any possible future service that the customer might need. This doesn't have to be super complicated. Just keep some sort of Google Doc or spreadsheet in your office that just tracks, the customer's name, their phone number, a brief description of what that future need or service might be, and a date to contact them. So for example, like if they're saving up for a bathroom remodel next summer, touch base with them in late spring and just see if they're ready to get started. Or if they mention that they're always interested in energy efficiency or in saving money, Let them know when new smart features come out or when eco-friendly products are available that might help them. Or maybe they chose to repair something that they kind of did it on the cheaper end the first time, and maybe it's going to need to be replaced in the future. So contact them next year, follow up, see how the repair has been holding up. And I always recommend when you do these future calls, sweeten the deal. Have some sort of special offer ready for them to take advantage of if they book right away. Something like, we're offering 10% off all projects over $500 if you book by the end of the month. So we'd love to help you get that kitchen remodel going. Customers usually really love this kind of personalized service, and just the fact that you remembered their needs 6 months, a year, or more later. So that's a big deal to people. So if you really just dazzled your customer with super impressive experience throughout the whole buyer's journey, then you've made it to that 5th stage and you've likely earned yourself an advocate. So this loyal customer will not only hire you again, but they'll probably be the type of person that will recommend you to other friends and family, and they might even write a good review online. So that's going to help your reputation. And keep in mind, this journey, these strategies, they all apply, like I said earlier, no matter who your customer is. So whether you're dealing with families in rural neighborhoods, or a small business owner, or your tried and true general contractor that you always work with, it doesn't matter. If you delivered on your promises throughout the journey, then you gained yourself a loyal customer and you strengthened your local reputation. Whew. Okay, that was a lot of info. I totally get it. It might seem hard to implement all those little details, and I agree. Trying to pack all of that into one presentation like this and expecting everyone to just follow through every single time is totally unrealistic. So improving the customer experience through the full customer journey requires consistency and repetition. It's much better to give your team bite-sized, small little bits of information and training over the course of their employment with you. Because just like the customer has a journey, so do your employees. So developing a really successful employee roadmap with training and education sprinkled in all along the way is what will improve the customer experience long-term. So always start with strategic onboarding. Really lay a solid foundation for new employees. Just like your customers have a first impression, your new employee deserves a professional first impression too. So good onboarding should happen the first week on the job, and it really sets expectations and equips the employee from the get-go and builds the culture and informs them about all your policies and procedures and just sets them up for success. It's really so much easier to train initially than to retrain. So starting off on the right foot is going to set the whole company and your new employee up to do good work over the course of their career. Ongoing education. Ongoing education is always so important. It gives you the chance to evolve with the market and adapt to your customers' changing needs and just always be improving. So always continue to train your team over time. I definitely recommend weekly meetings if you can. Just 30 minutes or an hour once a week is what's going to give you the true consistency that it takes to build muscle memory and get into good habits on the job. Hands-on training is really helpful too. Some people learn with like physical hands-on training. So that can be done on site visits. That's a great time to do them. Just go see how your employees are getting along, see how their performance is, see how their work looks, and take that chance to teach them some of your own techniques or tactics. You can do this, whether it's like the technical aspect of your industry and showing them the right way to do things or the better way to do things, or maybe it's more like sales training and you need to do kind of like role playing and scripting and practicing some of these methods. A lot of times too, these group environments, these group training sessions can really work and serve to boost morale and community within your company and between teammates and team members. With enough repetition and muscle memory, you'll be able to create better habits in your team, and they'll start to really understand how much you value the customer and them as an employee, because you're investing in them, and how they as an employee contribute to the overall customer experience. Also, take the chance to recognize team members during this ongoing training. If people are really excelling at their job, then use them in a good way, right? Let your superstars participate in the training. If they're willing to share some of their best methods or things that are working well for them, get them up there, have them share with the whole group about what they're doing right. It can be really helpful, and sometimes people like to adopt those methods for themselves. Okay, the next stage would be performance reviews. So these are really easy to overlook or avoid. A lot of people don't like them. They feel kind of icky or something, but I don't know why. Performance reviews are a great way to build trust between you and your employees and open the grounds of communication between each other. Plus, you can't manage what you can't measure. So measuring success during performance reviews is a great way to talk big picture and, like I said, improve communication, set goals for your team, and see if you're achieving those goals. Finally, exit interviews. So whether an employee has only been there a few months and they're not really working out, or maybe they've been in your business for 30 years and they're retiring, either way, make sure you schedule time to do your exit interview before that employee totally disappears and you can never get a hold of them again. Exit interviews are the best time to address true issues in your business, and that will help you increase retention amongst employees. It costs a lot of money to train new teammates, so why not just learn from your employees you've already had and make it better for the next people that come in. You can make the conversation really simple and kind and straightforward, and really show that you're looking for ways to improve. So I recommend questions like, what influenced your decision to leave? Did you feel equipped to do your job here? What could we have done better to keep you here? Keep it friendly, just use it as an opportunity to grow. Training and education about your company culture and your expectations throughout this whole career, your employee career, is really what's going to get your employees to care about the customer and the customer experience as much as you do. Let's face it, expectations are really high for consumers these days. That makes running a business in 2020 really freaking hard. Customers expect totally top-level, top-tier service at dirt-free, dirt-cheap prices right now. And they're more than happy to blast their bad experience all over the internet for all their friends and family to see, or for total strangers to see, when they feel like they've been wronged. Now, I'm going to be really honest. I believe in going the extra mile for customers, but I don't endorse bending over backwards for customers who will never be satisfied. Balancing expectations with reality means being prepared to politely defend your prices or your process when you have to. A lot of times, you can overcome objections and conflicts with customers before they happen by using many of the strategies we've already talked about, but also these three things. Communication, communication, communication. Okay, there's going to be three things, but communication is the first one. Wherever there could be confusion, give information. An informed customer is a happy customer, and communication should always happen early and often. And then through that communication, use it to create transparency about your business. Be upfront, be honest. Use this opportunity to educate the customer on how your industry works. You're the pro, not them. So politely educate them when you have to. One thing I always know is a problem for companies like ours, well, like yours, are pricing issues. Customers always want a quote over the phone. Oh, my toilet's leaking. How much is that going to cost to repair? Well, there's a million different things that could have gone wrong, right? So until you get on site and a professional gets their eyes on the problem, how can you give them a price that's going to be even close to what it could be? It's just a shot in the dark at that point. So your call takers need to be prepared to say, I'm so sorry, but we actually don't give quotes over the phone because we believe in accuracy and we don't want you relying on our guesswork. So just being upfront with the customer in that way, creating that transparency about your industry can really help overcome objections, deal with those conflicts, and help balance the expectations with reality. Finally, just make sure you're creating smooth processes. Make the whole experience hassle-free for both the customer and your workers. If it's easy for your workers, if the whole process and the workflow is really easy for them, it's going to be easier experience and a better experience for your customers. So find ways to streamline the experience, whether that's creating better work processes in the office or giving plumbers to better software out in the field. It's up to you. You got to figure out what's going to make life easier for your team so that that rolls over and customers can feel that in their experience. All right. Reviews. So reviews equals reputation, right? Your online reputation says a lot about your company. And this whole presentation has been about creating a better customer experience than the competition, than the other guys, right? And having a dependable local reputation is a huge part of that. So how's your reputation look? Be honest. When was the last time you Googled your company? When was the last time you read the reviews? I know it can be kind of painful, but it is important. Do you have good reviews? Do you have current reviews? Most people read several reviews before they'll ever pick up a phone to hire a company or go online to buy a product. So you want to make sure you have good reviews on every platform, especially Google and Facebook. Put effort into getting reviews. Make it a habit for your team to ask customers in person during the appointment. That's the best time, actually, to get those reviews. That's the moment when, at the end of the appointment, and they've showed them their handiwork and the customer's singing their praises, that's the easiest time for your technician to say, I am so glad you're happy with our work and that we could solve this really quickly for you. Do you mind taking just a minute to write us a review? We really appreciate that kind of feedback. That's all it takes, just mentioning it. And a lot of customers are more than happy to do it when they're already in that euphoric state of having their plumbing solution. So take that opportunity. Make sure you have reviews coming in consistently, all the time, every week. 84% of consumers believe that reviews older than 3 months aren't relevant. Who knows what could have happened in the last 3 months? You could have new managers, you could have a whole new team of employees. You could have even shut down. So if there's no reviews recently, you're irrelevant. On top of that, Google's algorithms give priority to businesses that have a high volume of reviews and get them weekly. So when a customer goes online and types in clogged drain repair service near me, your business is not going to pop up near the top if you're not consistently getting good reviews. Google will push you down in the search results. So make sure you keep those reviews coming. And then, of course, there's what to do when you get those bad reviews. No matter how good your team performs, it's bound to happen eventually. You're going to get some bad reviews. So what do you do about them? Respond to every review. Only 40% of consumers receive responses from a business after leaving a review. So that means if you respond to them, just takes a few minutes and other shoppers can see that you care about the customer experience and you care about improving it. So keep it friendly, keep it professional, appreciative. Try really hard not to take it personal. I know that's hard. I know your business is your baby, but be tactful. Just thank them for the review and respond with empathy. If an apology is needed, do it. Even if you feel like you don't want to, just do it. If you have to as well, if it's something that needs more attention or requires you guys sending a tech out to follow up and figure out what went wrong, or if your service manager needs to talk to the customer to try to smooth things over, direct message. So your public message should be a thank you and a response with empathy, and your private message or your direct message should be offering a solution or asking them to call your office so things can be worked out. Then make the most of your negative reviews by using that feedback in training. Take every single bad review as a chance to grow. What good are those bad reviews if you're not learning from your mistakes and trying to make them right? And that'll just help your customer experience get better and better and better. Although some reviews aren't always so polite, just try to take the constructive criticism as it comes. Address the issues and the objections with your team, and then find ways, work together with your team and give them solutions on how to handle these types of situations in the future. That's the best way to make the most of these one-star reviews. All right, you survived, you made it to the end. I know that was a lot. Thank you so much for sticking with me. Hope all of these tips have given you lots of training ideas and goals for the coming months and years for your business. And even if you just pick just a few of these details to focus on, it can really help grow your reputation and your customer loyalty over time. So now for the special offer that I mentioned earlier. I have one more thing that I want to share with you as a thank you for watching my presentation. Now, customers love personalized service that fits their needs, and business owners do too. So my free resource that I'm going to be giving to you is tailored specifically to your business's current needs. All you need to do is head over to capitalcopywriter.com/special offer. And on that page, I'll have you answer a few questions for me about your business. That way I can send you a crucial piece of the customer experience puzzle that's tailored to your needs. And I should mention that I'm only making this offer available for a very short, limited time at this link, capitalcopywriter.com/special offer. Because this is such a customized solution, I only want to make it available for a select group of people. My goal is to set you apart from the competition and provide an experience that's irresistible to your customers. And if I start giving away this idea to everybody, you're not going to be that special. So I believe this is a key aspect that can really help your team and your company develop in a powerful way, so I'm going to limit it. So head on over to capitalcopywriter.com/special offer. And thank you again for spending your time with me today. I hope your local reputation and your customer loyalty grows exponentially. Thanks again.